Hi, I'm Kimmy with the Greensboro Public Library, and this is the Science Behind Science Fiction, a series where I recommend a great science fiction book and then tell you where you can go to learn more about the science that inspired it. Today, I want to talk about The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet is the first book in Becky Chambers' Hugo Award-winning Wayfarer series, which is set in a distant future where humanity has traveled far beyond our own solar system. Rather than find the final frontier, however, we found a galaxy teeming with sophisticated alien civilizations that cooperate with each other under the banner of the Galactic Commons. The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet is set a few generations later, when humanity has successfully integrated into the GC. So Rosemary Harper joins the crew of the less than prestigious ship, the Wayfarer, in a desperate bid to reinvent herself and gain some distance from her difficult and scandalous family situation. She's not looking to make friends when the Wayfarer is offered a long and dangerous mission that would take them halfway across the galaxy in exchange for the payday of a lifetime. Rosemary and the rest of the eclectic crew, which includes humans, aliens, and an AI, will have to learn to rely on one another. And Rosemary will come to understand that sometimes family can be something that you choose. The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet and the other books in the Wayfarer series are really unique in that they generally don't have pitched space battles or world-ending stakes. It's more about the characters and their internal conflicts and how they relate to one another. There's always strong themes of chosen family and personal identity and learning to understand one another, and it's still riveting. You care deeply about every one of these characters. I've never been able to put one of the books in this series down. And the world building is also really interesting. I love how much thought Becky Chambers has clearly put into every alien species' biology and their culture and how it affects how they relate to one another. The crew of the Wayfarer is a great introduction to this, with every non-human crew member getting just as much time, they're just as fleshed out and relatable as their human counterparts, even when the culture they're coming from is wildly different from anything we would experience here. I think it's brilliant character work, and I've loved every second of it. While we're probably a few years from interstellar travel or making first contact with alien civilizations, that doesn't mean we aren't already trying to understand how life would develop on far-off planets. This field of study is called exobiology, and it's specifically the study of how life would develop on planets that orbit other stars that make up other solar systems. One great book that you could check out from the Greensboro Public Library's nonfiction collection, if you're interested in more about how we would study those things when obviously we can't go to those places, is Goldilocks and the Water Bears by Julia Preston. This focuses on how we would study life on Goldilocks planets, the ones that are, the just right distance from their stars, using examples from our own planet of microscopic creatures like water bears, which seem to be able to live at any temperature, any depth, in a vacuum. Doesn't seem to matter. They can live in any environment. We're able to extrapolate how maybe life would develop on a planet with an atmosphere very different from ours. And this is a great book to give an overview of how that works and how we study it. Another great book that I'm very excited about is Envisioning Exoplanets. This one's brand new, and it gives a really interesting overview of the different planets we've discovered circling other stars and what sorts of environments they have and how we study that, how we find out, well, obviously we can't travel to this planet that's 15 light years away. How do we know what its atmosphere is made up of? This is a great look at how we study that sort of thing. And also it has great illustrations and just artist conceptions of what life would be like on any of those worlds. So if all of that is a little too conceptual, a little too far out, you might be interested in something a little closer to home. For that, I would recommend The Search for Life on Mars, which is a great look at this work that we've been doing over the last few decades to study Mars and try and find any evidence that life was ever present there. It's a great look at all of the different Mars missions and what they've found and what they hope to find in the future. And finally, if you find any of that really interesting, or if you really enjoyed Becky Chambers' writing, you could check out her novella, To Be Taught If Fortunate. This follows a crew of 4 people who are sent to study life on 4 exoplanets. As they make amazing discoveries and experience the wonders of life on worlds so far from home, they slowly begin to realize that the way the political and cultural situation is changing back home means that the world that they left isn't the one they'd be going back to. And as their experiences continue to change them, they realize that maybe home isn't Earth anymore at all. If you're interested in a short and philosophical take on sci-fi, I really recommend To Be Taught If Fortunate. It got me with a lot to think about, and I had a great time reading it. Thanks for watching, and happy reading!